Welcome, everybody, to podcast number 245. Are you leveraging your team effectively every day in the morning? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody. I hope you're having a good night. I got some really good feedback yesterday for the first Scrum Series message, and I'm really excited about it. If you really want to learn Scrum, obviously, you're going to go to books like, Scrum Doing Twice the Work in Half the Time, Scrum Inc., Jeff Sutherland, his son. But Felipe Engineer, one of my good buddies, really knows a lot about, everything that deals with lean and integration and scheduling and construction, but he really knows a lot about Scrum as well, and he's an expert. So if you ever want to reach out to somebody, please connect with Felipe Engineer on LinkedIn or in any of his contacts. I'll give you his email. He has a YouTube channel. He has a podcast. It's great stuff. In fact, let me just tell you right now, in looking at the podcast, it's the EBFC show, the Easier, Better for Construction show. So he's on podcast 20, I think, doing a great job, great interviews. So it's the EBFC show if you ever want to check it out. So I wanted to cover that first and foremost, right there out of the gate. Tonight we're going to cover Scrum in the Team Daily Huddle. This is going to be a great podcast. I know I say that all the time, but literally this is research. This is good stuff. So I'm excited to hang out with you. So I want you, please, to do a couple things. So I'm going to ask you for some things in this podcast today. Number one, I want you to check out my YouTube channel, LeanTakt. So if you look it up, I'm going to start posting videos there tomorrow about, meaning I'll record them tonight, but then they'll start posting tomorrow, edited, nice, optimized there about Takt. And so anything that needs context, I'm going to show you visuals. Spencer and I are going to take you through a Takt journey. And I want that YouTube channel to really make some magic. I want that to scale all the way throughout the country, throughout the construction industry, because we need to get this message out. We need to get, everyone needs to get the message of Takt out so that we have better scheduling systems, or at least a better scheduling start for our construction people on our project sites. So I did want to cover that. The other thing is on May 12th through the 15th, I'm doing the Superintendent Bootcamp. I need 6 more people to make a full class. Please reach out to me directly, and also reach out to me if you have anyone that you might want to refer. So those are my 2 asks tonight. There's one thing that I want to talk to you about before we get started: scheduling and business theory. You've heard me talk about the concept of throughput, that if you have machines in a factory and you know that throughput is the incoming of materials and the outgoing of finished products, and that the throughput is the rate at which those finished products go through that system, that if you have individual machines within that factory that have resource efficiencies of 4 parts per hour, 4 parts per hour, 2 parts per hour, 4, 4, and 4. And I ask people what the throughput is. They'll say, well, it's 2 because that's your lowest number. And then I say, okay, what can we do? Well, you can either replace that 2 parts per hour machine, or you can add another 2 parts per hour machine next to it. Okay, what's our throughput now? 4 parts per hour, okay? What's something else that we can do if we can't speed up that 2 parts per hour machine? Somebody will say, which is a great answer, slow all the machines down to 2 parts per hour. Okay, what's my throughput? 2 parts per hour. All right, so now I go through a little reflection. I say, remember at the beginning when it was 442, 444, and you said the throughput was 2? Well, it really wasn't 2. It was really 1.2 to 1.8 parts per hour, because the material inventory buildup and the slowing down of the machines and the overburden on resources caused the entire system to slow down. So you're either better speeding the system up to where they're all going the same pace, or slowing the system down going the same pace. But look at this. The fastest is to add another machine and get all 4 parts per hour. The second fastest is to slow everything down to 2 parts per hour. But the third fastest, the absolute slowest method, is to have machines going at different speeds and telling everybody to work at their maximum efficiency. And that's because material inventory builds up. So the concept that we have to understand in construction is that flow is everything. Flow is key. When you don't flow, when you don't have just-in-time deliveries, inventory levels, material inventory levels rise. Crew counts, the amount of people on your project site rises. And we lose our money with those hours. We lose money with the hours that we pay people to work on site. You are throwing money out the window. So I also want to liken that to good business sense. So business theory would say that one of the biggest differences between profits and operating cash is inventory. Meaning profits are theoretical, operating cash is fact. Meaning somebody can say, oh, my company's profitable, but they still might not have enough operating cash. So profits are theoretical, cash is fact. So here are some rules that we have to live by. Number one, when inventory goes up, that is bad for cash. So if a company has high inventory levels, if they have equipment, if they have assets, if they have material goods that are work in progress in general, that is bad for cash. That is reducing your cash flow. Rule number two, when accounts receivable is up, that is bad for cash. Okay, so that means when people aren't paying you on time, that is bad for cash. So anytime you have work in progress on a project site, anytime inventory levels go up, anytime you have more crew counts, more people on site, that is bad for your operating cash of your business. And so not only is it bad from a flow standpoint, not only is it bad from a cost standpoint, but it's also bad from a cash flow standpoint because businesses need to have operating cash. Okay, not just investing cash, not just financing cash. Operating cash, cash in a company is critical. So for you construction professionals out there, and especially all of you who are using CPM and you have a ton of work in progress, not only are you losing money at the bottom line, not only are you slowing down productivity at the bottom line because there's so many people, so much materials, and the communication channels have increased and the complexity of the project is increased. Not only do you have that, but you're also creating more work in progress for everybody, and their operating cash is lower. And that is bad for business. That is bad for paying bills. That is bad for interest. That is bad for companies. That is bad for our economy. So I wanted to open up with that and make sure that we had those concepts. So anytime we have inventory, anytime we have work in progress, more than needed, that is bad. So as we head into this podcast, I want to remind everybody, Elevate Construction, I focus on project recovery, training and boot camps, and then consulting and speaking engagements. I love speaking engagements. Those are so fun. When I get in front of a crowd and we're jamming and I'm talking to them and we're having high energy, oh, I love that. I wish I had more. I wish I had a speaking engagement every week. Give me a call if you want that. I will amp your people up. I'm somewhere between Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas. We're going to get this done. So if you have a question I want to answer, so I've got a number of questions I'm going to start putting on YouTube for LeanTakt to answer questions about tax planning. I'm starting tonight. I don't care if I'm up till midnight. We're going to get this done. And also, if you want to attend a boot camp, please let me know. I need to know immediately ahead of the May class. So absolutely wonderful stuff. I need 6 more attendees to make that work. Also, I'm doing Takt certification trainings. You can sign up. Please let me know. I'll have all that on the website. So actually, that ties right in. What am I excited about in life? I should have the website updates done by Friday. I've redesigned the front page and some of the ways I funnel people through the website. So I'm really excited about that. So let's talk about fans and feedback. Hey, Jason. Been listening to your podcast recently, liking the content a lot. I appreciate the many book recommendations and the humble perspective. Well done, man. The industry does need many of the ideas you champion. I just texted the podcast to a superintendent I work closely with so we can chat about it. Looking forward to the next podcast and checking into your book. My best and good luck. Really nice feedback there. I love that. Oh, by the way, I'm getting feedback on, I think I told you this last podcast, but I'm getting feedback on the books, and I'm constantly updating little tweaks here and there, updating those manuscripts. So every time you order a book, if you look at Kindle, anytime you're looking at any of the books that we produce at Elevate Construction, they're current. And I'm going to add more to the stories there. And I just want to say, if you, for the Elevating Construction Superintendent's book, send me back stories that tie to those principles, I will put your name in the front part of the book in a showcase location. So you'll be in that book and your name will be in there, and we'll give you full credit for that. So let's get into the podcast topic tonight. I'm actually really excited about this. The conflict is your project management team is not headed in the same direction every day. So let me tell you a story. In the meeting schedule, the meeting system that I really enjoy, and you can get this on the website under the Lean signage page, I have a number of meetings in there. Most of them are the team weekly tactical, the planning and procurement meeting, the weekly work planning meeting, which I call the trade partner weekly tactical, afternoon foreman huddles, morning worker huddles, crew preparation huddles. But there's also one at 8 or 9 o'clock typically, which is called the team huddle. Now that seems like a lot of huddling, but I want to explain something. No, actually, I'll pause for that for just a minute. I want to talk to you about a story where I was recovering a project. When I recover a project, and actually you can recover a project when it starts. I remember a project where they didn't have a good superintendent base, a good team there to really take care of business, and I was called in to take care of that. The first thing I do is get that team huddling every day. I need them learning every day. I need them huddling every day. I need them communicating every day. If a project management team comes into work and they don't huddle together as a group in the morning, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Would an Olympic team do that? Would a professional sports team do that? Would somebody in the military do that? Would any of our critical units in life ever come to work and not huddle together? The answer is no. So why would project management teams not do that? Well, the answer is they get a little bit lazy. I love you. Don't be mad at me. You're getting a little bit too defensive here. I'm just saying, like, they get a little bit lazy. So having a team daily huddle, 15 minutes standing up, is fantastic. Now, we talk a lot about huddles. So we have to figure out, between the morning worker huddle, the crew preparation huddle, the team huddle, and then other huddles that people espouse, we need to make sure that we have a balance there. That's why I do afternoon foreman huddles, worker huddles, crew prep, and then team. Afternoon foreman huddles, then the morning worker huddle, crew prep, team huddle. The team huddle, in my mind, is mainly to remove roadblocks. And so I remember recovering a project that was 4 months out. We started those meetings in the morning, removing roadblocks. The team was able to finish with some goals with a flow schedule down to the end. Every time I have to go help a project, I start morning team huddles. Now, when I get in there, you follow all the normal best practices. Everyone's standing up. It's 15 minutes. You report out quickly. Only deal with things that are pertinent to the team. And what you're doing is covering the basics of what you're going to do that day, and make sure that everyone's needs are met and everyone knows that they're heading in the same direction. I want to remind you of that quote from Patrick Lencioni. Does anybody think I'm talking fast right now? I'm getting a little lightheaded. Okay, maybe I need to slow it down. But let me remind you of that quote from Patrick Lencioni that says, if you can get a group of people rowing in the same direction, you can dominate in any industry, in any market, against any competitor at any time. And that's true. And so how do we do that? We do that with our morning team huddles. So this is how this looks. And let me just take you through the overall system on my projects and what I recommend. You get to the afternoon foreman huddle. Every trade partner turns in their daily reports, and they communicate what permits they'll need for the next day. They go through the meeting agenda. They plan the next day. They create and this is remarkable when you can do this. They create a visual day plan that is either on the board and people take pictures of it, or it's on PDF and it's emailed out, or it's on some electronic system that gets pushed out to all of the workers on the entire site so they can see the plan for the next day. That's best in class. I want people to send me YouTube videos of the best in class methods that they use for this. Day plans, going out to every worker on site, whether it's them scanning a QR code or whatever. I love that. So now they have the information. The foremen know what the plan is for the next day. Everyone gets to work that day. In the foreman huddle, people wrote down their roadblocks. They get to the work next day, and the worker huddle, we communicate for 5 or 10 minutes, maybe max 15, with all the workers on site. We talk to them. We love them. We form a social group with them. We connect with them. We teach them. And we ask them, most importantly, how they're feeling about things. We ask them what they need. We ask them what's in their way. We ask them about their roadblocks. And then we write those down. They then go with their foreman to the crew preparation huddle to fill out their pre-task plans for quality and for safety, and to 5S their area, eliminate the 8 wastes in their area, prepare their day, do their stretch and flex, and do their lean training in the morning, and for everybody to leave on the same page. Now, here's what we have. Here's what we have that's remarkable. Now you have 2 critical meetings that have gathered roadblocks for the site. Those should be gathered, and I'll go from good, better, best. Good is to have it on a roadblock log or a constraint board, whatever. The better one is to have the roadblocks written on visual maps with plexiglass in a visual format. The best scenario is to have those roadblocks written down on visual maps in one commonly located area, and to also scrum the major efforts to remove those roadblocks. So here's what we now have. When you then get to 8 o'clock or 9 a.m., whenever your office team gets in, you can do this, and you have a standing huddle and everyone's there. Here's what you have. You have a list of things that you can remove with that team to create production and clear the path for the field. So it goes afternoon foreman huddle, morning worker huddle, the team huddle, removing roadblocks, act throughout the day, report back at the afternoon foreman huddle, communicate in the morning worker huddle, then the roadblocks go to the team huddle, and it's just this perpetuating cycle, right? It's fantastic. So now when your team gathers in the morning huddle at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock for the project management team on that construction site, now they're able to talk about, what am I doing today? What are the critical tasks? Let's align. Let's ask each other for needs. But the main thing you're looking at is, who is owning the removal of these roadblocks so I can clear the path for the field? That's how it works. Now I'm going to take you into Scrum. Now, in your morning huddles, you should be in the same environment that the afternoon foreman huddle has been in, where you're seeing the same visuals and you're using the same roadblock boards. But here's where it's neat. Now, let me just take you through Scrum and then I'll tie it back. Scrum, again, is a system where a development team works in sprints of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, where there is a product owner that receives input from end users, customers, the team, and other stakeholders. And that product owner creates what's called a product backlog. The features, the stories, the descriptions, the tasks, the tags, the stickies that will define what needs to be done to create a minimum viable product. That then goes into the sprint backlog, which is just the backlog activities by priority. And by grading, you have scores on these tags. You have a numbering system, and that sprint backlog is what you are going to accomplish that in that sprint. Your team at the beginning of the week does a sprint planning meeting and pulls those backlog items into that sprint backlog, and then every day they huddle in a daily stand-up. They constantly refine product backlog. At the end of the week, the product owner reviews how far they got, and then the sprint retrospective is where the team themselves with the Scrum Master asks, how can we do this better, next time, faster, and more fun? And then that product on an incremental basis is delivered to the customer in incremental steps through the product owner. That is Scrum. How does Scrum tie into our daily huddles? Here's the principle. Why not have a Scrum board with 4 columns? Product backlog, sprint backlog, in progress, and complete, with your project management team acting like a development team, a Scrum team, moving activities from left to right. Here's the difference. I prefer you also use Scrum in construction, but most of the time when we're dealing with our trade foremen, they want to see their schedules in a time scale. So if you have your Takt plan, and then you have your weekly work plan, and then you have your day plan, people are going to want to see that in a time scale, from left to right in time. And then the rows are going to be geographical areas or swim lanes or scopes. Now, do the activities of the project management team always fall in that category? No. Where do roadblocks or tasks for the team usually go? On people's individual to-do lists. Why not have it be that these tasks, even if it's not specifically for a specific product, maybe they're all separate, why not scrum these from left to right on a weekly basis as the project management team? Meaning you can scrum from inception to completion, from left to right. You can scrum your roadblocks. You can scrum your office tasks. Let me give you a couple of examples. Roadblocks might be the coordination of this exterior curtain wall condition, or I need to get this RFI through, or we need to get this change order pushed through so that we can get our trades paid, or for the office team, we need to get buyout A, buyout B done so that we can get this work started, right? There's a lot of different things, or maybe it's, hey, we need to get this mock-up done so we can start the exterior, or we need to design the shoring so that we can get out ahead of foundations, right? There are things that don't normally end up in our scheduling timelines with the trade foreman that the project management team needs to do. Why not get a board with 4 columns, backlog, sprint backlog, in progress, and complete, and in the morning team huddles for that 15 minutes, move those tasks from left to right and scrum them in a visual system with the team and do twice the work in half the time. The principle is Scrum fits in just so many different wonderful areas in construction and in our lives. I personally, like when somebody says, okay, I'm going to write this book, or I'm going to develop this software, or I'm going to go do this coordination, or I'm going to do this BIM coordination, or I'm going to develop this training, or I'm going to, assist this department in getting better, or we're going to create this hiring program. Scrum all of it. The Scrum is the best for development, right? When we're scheduling with our trade foreman, that's the scheduling of construction. When we're talking about coordination and buyout and getting scopes out and completing change orders, that's development. Those are best done in Scrum, in my opinion. So the principle that I want to communicate is when we have these morning huddles that are allowing us to remove the roadblocks, why not visually scrum the roadblocks and move them from left to right into completion? Because really, we want more visibility, we want more collaboration, and we want those roadblocks gone. So I hope that from just me verbally talking about that, I hope this makes sense, because the current condition is most teams don't meet as a team. Fine, do whatever you want. I would. Yeah, on my jobs, I would. And then even if they do meet as a team, there isn't a coordinated visual system. So the challenge I would give to you is find places. First of all, do the Scrum certification with Felipe. Second, let's make sure that we're getting these Scrum systems or using Scrum anywhere we possibly can in visual systems. It's fantastic. So that's my challenge. And what I want you to be able to do is have a functional project management team that is aligned, heading in the same direction, coordinating on a daily basis, and taking care of the most important things that they need to take care of to clear the path for the field. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.